right, we're going to count them down. Reason number 10 why you need a budget is budgets are the strongest way that you can fight against transaction utility. I know we already discussed this, but to reiterate, we naturally resist the discipline it takes to write a budget. So if we make our written plan and we care about it, we actually want to implement it, then transaction utility is going to have a lot less power over us. With a budget, you get to tell your money what it's doing. This is opposed to the lack of money telling you what you can't do. Reason number 9 why you need a budget. A budget is going to constructively apply natural mental accounting. Mental accounting is something we naturally do in our psychology when we come across newfound money. We naturally will associate our paycheck or our income with money that needs to go to our four walls and some of our wants. But if you come into money that you weren't expecting, say you get a large gift or you find $200 on the sidewalk, well, your mental accounting is going to naturally tell you, hey, you know what? We could go splurge on this. We could go use this to buy something that we never would if we were actually making an extra $200 a month. Because money is fungible, this is a logical violation of our priorities. If you were to put that money in your income slot on the budget, you'd probably apply it to a longer term and more valuable priority than splurging on something spontaneously. So budgeting allows us to exercise our mental accounting in a way that actually reflects what truly matters to us, as opposed to our emotions dictating what happens to money that we weren't expecting. Reason number 8, this is one of my favorites. Budgeting helps you practically apply opportunity cost. There's a quote by Dan Arley. The quote reads, "The problem with opportunity cost is that opportunity cost is divided among many, many things." In other words, the problem with opportunity cost is that you can exchange, because of the fungibility of money, one opportunity for an infinite number of others. You could say, hey, instead of buying this coffee, which say is $6, I could buy myself a really nice fancy dessert after lunch. And if you didn't spend that money on something that you consumed that day, you could invest it. That money could then grow with compound interest and be applied toward your retirement. But what if saving for retirement wasn't your main priority? What if it was paying off debt? Well, then that coffee that you bought could have been used to pay off your debt. You can basically replace any of your purchase decisions with an infinite number of others. So how is opportunity cost going to be helpful? Well, with a budget, when you need to move something around or as you're mapping out what you're going to spend your money on, anytime you decide to move a dollar from one line item to another line item, you're basically saying this particular opportunity cost is going to be applied to the actual next best priority that I have. Having a budget allows you to rearrange your priorities in such a way that opportunity cost becomes finite. If you didn't spend money on a particular category, then it immediately goes to the next best priority on your list. And if you overspend your budget, you're going to pull from the lowest priority that you have that otherwise would get money. This allows you to really exercise opportunity cost in a way that is just simply practical and beautiful, and you don't even have to think about it. Otherwise, opportunity cost is going to infinitely hurt our brain. Reason number 7 why you need a budget. Budgets are a home for your written dreams and goals. You're going to hear it almost anywhere if you go to a seminar or read a self-help book. How do I make my dreams and goals a reality? Well, almost everyone's going to say, well, you got to write it down. It's like, no, I got it up here. Writing it down is an intentional step. Writing something down takes an intentional discipline that triggers future action. It also allows us to remind ourselves of that particular goal anytime we see it written down. Write your goal down and put it in a place where you have to see it again and again and again. It helps you drive your actions to accomplish your genuine priorities, your genuine dreams and goals. If nothing else, a budget is a home where our dreams and goals live, where we can revisit them at least once a month, probably weekly, and see them and see that we're on track for them. Anytime we have a dream or a goal that involves money, even if it involves money indirectly, it can live in the budget in such a way that we are motivated to actually accomplish them. And according to the experts, this is a first step in actually making dreams and goals become reality. Reason number 6 why you need a budget. If you're married, budgeting helps facilitate communication and collaboration. Since Amanda and I have been married, we've run a budget every single month. We haven't missed a month yet. And the things that matter to us, our values and our virtues, get expressed anytime we have a budget meeting. We get to communicate about what matters to us and what's going on in our lives. We get to talk about the plans that are on the calendar and the things that we really need to be intentional about. And together we get to agree on anything that is a want. We get to agree on acting on our mutual wants and our individual wants. In doing so, we're exercising an expression of communication, collaboration, and genuine love. I'm reading the book, The Road Less Traveled, right now, and the particular chapter that I'm going through describes love as an exercise of discipline. And genuine love, real love, is an exercise of discipline. This is simply facilitated in the budget when you budget together. Reason number 5 why you need a budget. Budgets help you discover accounting errors from your bank and identity theft. If you go back to episode 14, I did an interview with Chalice. We discussed identity theft. One of the examples where I experienced identity theft is shared in that episode. Was only caught because I was running a monthly budget. When I pulled up my checking register and was going through the transactions, I was able to quickly discover within a week or two transactions that I did not initiate myself. They were fraudulently charged because someone had gotten my debit card information. Also, banks make errors. It happens. Everybody makes mistakes. So if you're keeping a good ledger of what you expect to be in your savings accounts and your checking accounts, and that lives in your budget, and you have reason to believe that there was an error in the bank, you can actually identify it and have the evidence and call them up and say, hey, I think there's an error. Please resolve it. And more often than not, if you do a good job with your budget, you're going to be right. Reason number 4 why you need a budget. A budget replaces your fear of the unknown with a plan for the future. When you budget, you're not just planning the next month's worth of time. You're looking into the future. You're trying to say, am I on pace to retire on time? Am I on pace to buy the next home? Am I on pace to get out of debt? There are so many goals that can take more than 10 years of discipline and intentional budgeting every month in order to come to genuine fruition. If I wasn't running a budget, I wouldn't know where I was on my path to achieve those future goals that really mattered to me. The budget not only allows me to know that I'm on track to make those goals happen, but it gives me peace of mind knowing that I'm in control of where those goals are going and that they're actually going to come true. Fear of the unknown is one of my greatest fears, and a budget helps me face it and conquer it. Reason number 3 why you need a budget. Budgeting ultimately reduces stress in your life. Rachel Cruz, Dave Ramsey's daughter, has a great story where she and her husband went on vacation, and they had been practicing budgeting. She's the free spirit in their marriage. She isn't all that into the budgeting every month, but she knows it's important. I mean, she's Dave Ramsey's daughter. Well, her husband said, you know what? We're going to go on vacation. Don't worry about the budget. I've got it. You spend on whatever it is that you want. I'm going to be running the numbers. I know we've put aside enough that we're going to be able to make it. It's going to be fine. Well, she recalls sitting there lounging at an all-expense resort where she was ordering stuff by the poolside, and the money started racking up, and it took her less than one afternoon to start feeling uncomfortable with the amount of money she was spending. It was like, I don't know if I've given myself permission to do this. I know that he said that I could, but I don't know because I don't know the numbers. Ultimately, not having a budget, not understanding the opportunity cost for what she was spending was causing undue stress. Reason number 2 why you need a budget. Budgeting ultimately increases your freedom. When you're budgeting and you have a want that pops up, a want that you really, really want, and you've planned for it, you've saved for it, it comes due. You have the money for it. All of your other goals are on pace. You don't have anything that you're sacrificing by going and buying that want. You have total freedom to do it. You have given yourself written permission to buy it. And you don't have to feel like you're sacrificing something else to go buy that particular thing. It's on paper, on purpose. Oh, it's so freeing to be able to go buy something and feel no guilt for it, especially something that is purely a want. I've heard an example of how having guidelines for ourselves or rules actually increases our freedom. Imagine you and I wanted to play a game. I say, hey, would you like to play a game? You say, okay. And I say, okay, you go first. You go first. Your move. Well, you probably just sit there like, I don't know what to do. There's no structure for this game. There were no rules. You're paralyzed with inaction because there's nothing defined for you to do. And the opportunity cost for your own actions, your own exercise time is infinite. And that's paralyzing. By exercising a budget, removes the paralysis of the analysis and gives you the plan. You've decided on paper on purpose in advance. You don't have to make the decision again. It frees you from having to make the decision. It's your move next. Well, what was next on the plan? It gives you freedom to proceed. Finally, reason number 1, the most important reason why you need a budget. A budget helps you become more frugal. We covered it in the first 4 episodes of the HopeFilled Financial Podcast. Frugality is the intentional practice of prudent economy. Frugality is the fundamental virtue for personal finance. Frugality, in a practical exercise, can only be fully lived out when you have a written plan for your money, when you're living out a budget. And whether you believe it or not, a budget is naturally going to help you become more frugal just by its nature. The exercise of intentionality and discipline will push you to becoming more frugal and ultimately happier with your financial life. And that's it. That's why you need a budget. If you know of any other reasons why you personally started budgeting or something that would motivate you to budget, please leave it in the comments below or send me a message. I'd love to cover it in a future episode. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you think. Next week, I'm going to introduce some other budgeting strategies that can help us fully live out our hope-filled financial future. Until then, budget bravely and enjoy your hope-filled financial future.